Dave, before we get into the next topic, let's talk about the sponsor of today's show. If you are sitting there at home going, Ricky, you know what, my balls, I need to trim them. I need to make sure they're all what's the word? Prim and proper. That's what I'm looking for. Manscaped can help you out. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped.com, who is the best in below the waist grooming for men. It offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped is backed by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs. Dave, we talk about it all the time, the Lawnmower 3.0. I absolutely love this thing. Keeps the balls nice and smooth. Sometimes you're just sitting there going, wow, I never had smoother balls. And if you want your play to be as good in the bedroom as it is on the court, you got to go ahead and get the Lawnmower 3.0. You can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using the code MVP. That is 20% off and free shipping using the code MVP at manscaped.com. Go ahead. Your balls will thank you. And Dave, this is kind of a topic where I know you are going to hate it, but it's one that came up today. I know we have talked about it recently. We're not getting back into the Victor Oladipo talks. If you want to get into what we said there, go ahead. I'll probably have it pop up on YouTube over our heads so you can see it.
Have to flip?
It's not a table flip, Dave. It's not your favorite guy in the world. It's just a little bit of Knicks news where now the articles that are coming out, the one that I have is from AM New York, which says the headline is Knicks keeping tabs on Bradley Beal and Victor Oladipo. Article reads, the Knicks aren't necessarily committed to all their youngsters, though the kids, paired with proper leadership, are providing a shed of light at the end of a 2 decades-long tunnel of incompetence. According to Mark Berman of the New York Post, the Knicks refuse to include the likes of guards Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox in the trade for Derrick Rose earlier this week because they could be dangled in a potential larger deal. Right now, it says that the Knicks are keeping tabs on Bradley Beal, who plays for Washington, Victor Oladipo, who plays for the Rockets. Dave, I don't want to ask you if Bradley Beal or Victor Oladipo are getting traded. We've already given
those players are going up against the Knicks in the next week, by the way.
Bingo. We know that both those players are not getting traded. We have said it. I've said it. You've said it. The thing I want to kind of talk about a little bit is if those two are off the table, will the Knicks look otherwhere or elsewhere? Will they be wheeling and dealing? Are the Knicks done? Or are they going to pursue another trade somewhere, whether it is Beal or Oladipo or not, in order to bolster this playoff run that they are gearing up for by getting Derrick Rose?
Well, Ricky, if you drop in that Knicks subreddit, they think they've got so much capital over there to deal with. I did hear another name come up in interest, and it was Zach LaVine, our very own Zach LaVine.
Nope, not for sale.
And they were like, well, Frank, Kevin Knox, and a Mavs first rounder seems like an overpay for Zach LaVine. And they upvoted that. And that should tell you right there why I think all fans are blind to the understanding of how much value is actually associated with their own team's talent and with draft picks, because they are so fucking dumb when it comes to their own team. Like, that's why you're fans. You're fanatics. You do not have any logic applied anymore. Like, it's so goddamn dumb and infuriating to read this shit that I mean, look, New York's in its own fucking category as far as its fandom, its hatred, its love, its passion. Yeah. I will always respect that. But, like, trying to talk trades for the Knicks is just it's a fucking waste of time at times because they have no idea of what the value is. Like, it's like I said, I literally just named 2 guys who can't sniff the fucking court for this Knicks team, who are like, those 2 plus the first rounders kind of an overpay for literally the best offensive player in the NBA this year. And I'll tell you.
Yeah, and, like, I get it. I get why the Knicks are like the Bradley Beal one to me is like I don't get it. Only because, like, the Wizards have said, yet again, any teams can say whatever they want, but Bradley Beal is not getting traded this year. Like, he's not. Like, there is no inclination of them being like, yeah, we're going to deal Bradley Beal. Victor
Correct.
Oladipo is interesting. I think there's a chance there. Slim, but a chance. We even talked about before of do you even want to trade for Victor Oladipo because he's got his mind and it looks like his eyes set on the South Beach of Miami. So really that looks like a rental. To me, really then what other pieces could the Knicks go out and get? And it's like for me, the only one that I see, and yet again, Hoop Central tweeting about this today via, yet again, Mark Berman of the New York Post that says J.J. Redick would prefer a trade to the Nets or Knicks via New York Post Berman. Is that enough for the Knicks? Like, I don't want to say that J.J. Redick wouldn't be good for the Knicks. He would. If they added him to the team, he would at least add more leadership to this young team. And to me, would kind of be like a Derrick Rose-like move, where it's Derrick Rose is good, but Derrick Rose is past his prime. He's living in the after years of the prime. Yet again, a knee injury will do that to you. But he's still playing well. J.J. Redick, we've talked about not playing so hot, might need a change of scenery, wants to go to the Northeast where obviously the Knicks are. He would be more of that, where it's like hopefully the change of scenery helps him out. Hopefully playing with Tibbs would help him out. But his leadership is why you would add him to this team. But yet again, would that necessarily be the right move? Because would J.J. Redick just be a rental at the end of the year where it's like he ain't staying here, he's moving on, he's not staying in New York?
Yeah, I mean I don't understand how adding either one of those players would help them win more games.
Mm-hmm.
They're both decent players, but at the same time, like this is the eternal struggle of Tom Thibodeau.
Mm-hmm.
Why build up if you can just compete from day one? You know, this is a team with young talent with RJ, Quickly, Obi, Big Mitch, Kevin Knox.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they're like, nah, we're a playoff team now, guys. We're going for those fucking playoffs. Fuck it. Like, I respect what Tom Thibodeau can do to a defense and to a scheme and to getting those guys motivated. But at the same time, I wonder, is his incessant push for the playoffs damaging long-term to these players' growth potential and opportunities? And I think yes. I think that this is, you're trying to rush something that needs to come naturally to this Knicks team. And I think you guys are set for the long haul, but they seem to not be interested in that.
Mad Rogue says, do you think the Knicks are trying to pull off what the Thunder tried to pull off last year? I believe what he's talking about was with the Chris Paul, where I don't think that was last year. Was that last year?
It was literally last year.
Okay. Where they trade for Chris Paul, they do make the playoffs, but then it's like they're not a playoff team this year after getting rid of Chris Paul. Part of me goes, I don't know if they're trying to do what the Thunder did or what they're trying to do what Tom Thibodeau did literally the last coaching spot that he had. Where, think about the T-Wolves. He came in, they were not a playoff team. He brought in an old Chicago Bull that he had in the day in order to try to help him get to the playoffs. They did get to the playoffs. How has that worked for Minnesota? Has it made Cat any better? Has it made the young players that were on that team any better?
No.
Like, it's great to be in the playoffs. It's great to have playoff experience. Like, I talked up the last time we talked about the Knicks, where it's like RJ and Julius Randle having those that playoff experience when they get back. It's like, okay, this is what I kind of know what to expect. But it's like, yeah, that's great, but are you going to get back with this team? Or is it just going to be, hey, we tried to make a playoff run, it didn't work. Derrick Rose, like, I'm talking 2 years down the line. Oh, Derrick Rose ain't here anymore. This other vet we traded for aren't here anymore. Did it help our young players? No. And that's why it's like, with the Knicks, should they be looking to do what most bad teams do? Hey, let's go out there, do the best thing to help our players develop. Or should they keep on the Tom Thibodeau thing of like, hey, we're going to push for the playoffs. Be damned if it helps our players. Playoffs sell tickets, and that gets money. However, this year, that's not even a case because no one's fucking at games right now.
Well, I think there's a couple people, and they're paying quite a lot to go to those games.
Good point.
But, yeah, it's just... I think that they're a team that in the East this year, yes, they can compete for a spot going to the playoffs. I 100% believe that because that's, like I said, how close the East will be this year. But again, we're targeting twos. We're targeting guys who are going to play two. Well, your best prospect is RJ Barrett, who he's a 2-3.
Yeah.
Your next best rookie is Emmanuel Quickly, who is a 2. So you're stunting the growth of literally your rookie pick. You've already stunted Obi Toppin. I don't want to say stunted, but Julius Randle has been shining down up there in New York like an all-star talent. And Obi Toppin has not looked like a stud that we all expected him to be offensively coming into the league. So obviously injury will do that to you, but he played a couple games before, a couple games after, kind of looks like who he is who he is right now. Jamming veterans in front of your young players who would benefit greatly from just playing time, minutes. I mean, it's the Chris Dunn thing. Like, Chris Dunn averaged like 5 minutes a game under Tom Thibodeau his rookie year. It's like, the fuck are you doing? Like, how you don't have to compete for the playoffs year one. You can be very impressive with what you've built, and if you just, that's perfectly fine. It sets the tone, sets the track, sets the pace. But by jamming veterans in over these young kids, like, long term you're hurting the team. And I think that's always been the problem with Tom Thibodeau, is he always wants to just have that success. I mean, if we're being honest, he's like, I fucking want another guard to this team. Like, let's be realistic about who they should go after. Like, Malik Beasley is a name who they should probably go after. He's someone who seemingly could be the odd man out up there with how your boy, who you claim is the biggest bust of the draft,
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony
Badgett.
Nope, Anthony Edwards. You said it right the first time. I know you didn't mean to, but you said it right the first time. Anthony Edwards is playing up there in the starting lineup, and I'm like, oh, well, that's if they're looking for just a scorer who has incredible upside. Like, yeah, he's not a smart guy clearly because jail, but like, he is a good player. So if they want to go out and get somebody who might be available, I would look at him. I would talk to Charlotte in a little bit and see if Devontae Graham slides into that second unit, and if they're willing to move on from him. Because LaMelo Ball's awesomeness, it just, there's a lot of guys who are in that second tier, maybe not the top of the line guys who they're, it is a blockbuster deal. Yeah. Like, I don't think those guys are really available for them. So I don't know. Is that crazy to think that,
I don't think that's crazy. That isn't, because, like, for example, you're listing off guys that are in the same threshold as JJ Redick would be to me. Like, JJ Redick, Devontae Graham, better than JJ Redick, but like, they are players that you're not going to be giving, like, they could be deals like the Beasley deal you threw out, the Devontae Graham deal. You can get those done and probably not have to give up Frank or Kevin Knox.
No, you could give those up. You'd be fine to give those up. That would actually value-wise correct.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if they didn't want to, because the whole big thing was they didn't want to include them in the Derrick Rose deal because they saw a larger deal coming down the road. Like, if you still feel like, no, I don't want to give up Frank and or Kevin Knox in case a Bradley Beal becomes available after this year, I think you can get a Graham or a Beasley deal done without giving up those two. Like, if the Knicks absolutely wanted to keep them.
Sure, why not?
Yet again, I don't know why the Knicks are hankering down to those two. Like, I mean, out of the two, Frank would be the one that I would probably want more than Kevin Knox. But do you think any team really values either Frank or Kevin Knox?
Not super highly. I mean, again, they have not played much this year. Frank literally played the first 4 games of the year, and that's it.
Yeah,
he's been inactive, or DNP coach decisions since. Knox, I think, had shown some promise early this season. But again, it's like, at this point, DNPs. Is this one medical though? I feel bad because I don't actually know for Knox. I know for Frank. News. No, I think he's just getting healthy DNPs. So again, like, why are we giving a fuck about, like, why do you think these players are valued so highly?
And even like Devontae Graham and JJ Redick fall under the same tree of, like, Devontae Graham and both JJ, the Knicks technically do not have to give up a player to make the contracts work. They could just give up for like Devontae Graham, it could be the elusive, like, I will throw 2 seconds your way. Or if you think a first is his value, I will throw you the Clippers first. Like, that was me for the JJ of, like,
I think Frank in 2 seconds for Graham would be interesting. I don't know if they would take it. It might take a restricted first to get there.
Because I mean,
I think Graham's still a good player. I mean, I think that him being a point guard of a team with different weapons out there would help them. And well, it's nice to have two guards on your team between LaMelo and Graham. I think that he becomes a luxury who will need a payday at some point. So why are you guys going to be the ones who pay him? You know, in Charlotte, I don't know, probably not.
How much do you think Devonta Graham gets? Because like for me, I'm thinking like it can't be more than 15, right? It's probably going to be less than that, right? Because right now he's the 1.6, but he's going to get paid after this year.
Probably in that 15 range because numbers wise, he is a starting point guard who can shoot well from the outside, and he can facilitate well. So I don't know. That's a fair question, Ricky. I think that probably I would guess probably 15 seems about right for him. Devontae. Yep, there we go. Sorry, my spot rec takes for fucking ever to load. Yeah.
And it's so weird too because like draft pick wise, it says own or swap for Clippers 5 through 30 and Dallas. Does that mean they won't have the Clipper pick because the Clipper pick will be worse than theirs, and obviously they're not gonna swap it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, New York has the right to swap its first round pick for the Clippers' first round pick, protected for selections 1 through 4. If the pick falls in the protected range and is therefore not conveyable, the Clippers obligate. Okay, so yeah, they don't have the Clipper pick in all honesty. So they have their own, and then they have the Dallas pick. It's like at this point, the Dallas pick is even with how close the records are. Dallas's pick right now is 12, so I ain't fucking giving that up. Like I ain't giving up a lottery pick for J.J. Redick or Devonta Graham. So it'd have to be Frank in 2 seconds, or if 2 seconds gets it done. Like for JJ, do you think? Let's say that's the one. Do you think 2 seconds can get that done, or do the Pelicans want a player?
I don't. JJ has no value in my mind. Like he's purely a locker room guy at this point in his career. His shooting's been terrible. Now that's not to say he's a worthless player because he can still get hot, but like I just don't. I don't know. He ain't the same. He doesn't get the same spring in the step, whatever you want to call it.
He ain't what he used to be. That's what you're saying.
He's getting warmed up as the season goes on, I guess technically, but still, I'm not gonna say in 5 games he's turned around his shooting split completely, but he is shooting better in the last 5.
At the end of the day, do you think that the Knicks?
But why? Why do you get him? I'm still hung up on that, Ricky. Why? You have Emmanuel Quickley. You have RJ Barrett. My fucking screen moved.
I love it. Well, I would say the only reason the Knicks get him is they want a veteran leader on this team. That's it. That's the only value he brings to me in this situation. Like, I get what you're saying. I mean, unless Tom Thibodeau feels like, hey, for this year, because J.J. Redick would only be here a year, he'd be veteran leadership to this team, and Emmanuel Quickley can be our score, like exactly what we peg Kobe White as right now. Of like, for this year, he can be our scoring option, our fire starter off the bench. Like, unless that's your mind. Otherwise, it's like, what? You can obviously start Rose, Quickley, and RJ Barrett out there and have that be a lineup. Like, that would get the most. Like, that would be the most for the development of Emmanuel Quickley in my mind. Playing next to Derrick Rose most nights, so you can kind of have that chemistry on the court. And he's getting minutes, so like he's going to get minutes anyways, even if he's on the bench.
It's just the idea. Yeah, I mean it's Tom Thibodeau. He's got to play 38. You know,
those knees will be dead, Dave. They're dead.
It just goes back to like what is the future perfect lineup for this team? What's their starting 5 going to look like? Like you love the idea of having, I guess the question comes down to, is Randall your future? Are you going to keep him, or are you going to flip him? Big Mitch, we expect to be the future. RJ expect to be the future. Quickly, we expect to be the future. So we're looking at one wing maybe and another guard. And that's why I'm like, why are we talking about getting Bradley Beal and Victor Oladipo? Supreme talent does trump position. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know that either one of those, Vic or Beal, will be available to them.
Oh, I
so
don't think either one will. I think that
why
Vic
are we
could be
talking about
available,
getting?
but
Yeah, why are we talking about getting somebody who fits on top of a young player who should just get minutes? You know?
yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Final line. Do the Knicks make another deal? Any deal, doesn't matter what it is.
Yes, they will.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of feel the same. If they're monitoring those two situations, I feel like they will not want to be sitting on their hands at the trade deadline. Will it be good for them, bad for them? I don't fucking know, but we'll have to wait and see what they do. And Dave,